So I previously made a video on who I thought in the UFC would make for a very good Muay Thai fighter, and now it's time to talk about who I think absolutely would suck at Muay Thai. But before we do that, I want to lay out the criteria for the video. The fighters in question must have been a UFC fighter past or present. They cannot have been a pro Muay Thai fighter or a pro kickboxer, so no Israel Adesanya, Alex Pereira, Dustin Jacoby, Carlos Prates, Edson Barbosa, so on and so forth. And they can be a grappler, but they can't be grappling dependent. So like Ben Askren's, Khabib Nurmagomedov's kind of, Demian Maia and Jailton Almeida, although he got a knockout recently, which is awesome. And of course, this is just my opinion. I have my biases. I'll try to be as bias-free as I possibly can. And fighters will be judged on whether they'll be good kickboxers, gloved, or MMA gloved Muay Thai fighters, or the 4-ounce gloves like one championship. Now let's get into it. First up, we got Nate Diaz, or Mid Diaz as I like to call him. Why? Because he has profoundly overrated boxing ability. His boxing acumen is literally carried by two fights. The first fight with Conor McGregor, yeah, the second fight too, he boxed pretty well. Michael Johnson and the Donald Cerrone fight. Other than that, he really has never really shown a high-level boxing in my opinion. He fits into that Nate Diaz category of, oh, I'm a jiu-jitsu guy, I can't really take you down, but I'm really willing to throw down, which is very prevalent in the early 2010s, late 2000s, and then mid-2010s, that was still a thing. But as the takedown game developed, like guys like Nate have been obsolete. They've been obsolete for over 10 years. And like, again, it's one of those things where like, he's one of those guys where it's like, no, don't wrestle me because my jiu-jitsu isn't good enough for me to sub you like a Charles Oliveira. But that's grappling, not striking. So again, his boxing ability is not very good. He is very reliant on his chin, and he doesn't have great defense. For example, again, Gary gets hit on the chin a lot, pretty much carried by it. Bad at blocking, no leg kicks, and no head movement. Again, just purely reliant on the fact that he hasn't really been knocked out yet. And he probably won't. He'll probably retire before he ever truly gets to put to sleep, which is good for him, but it already has a bad effect on him. And again, arm punches most of the time. The Diaz brothers, especially Nate, never really punch that well. They punch in bunches and they're able to hurt people if they're able to connect, but they're not that accurate and they're just relying on basically overwhelming them with strikes. Very Colby Covington-esque, however, Colby can at least get takedowns. So because they're not explosive nor technically proper in their boxing overall, they're going to be outdone even by strict Muay Thai guys who aren't known for their boxing. On top of that, he's prone to cuts, so any Muay Thai fighter who's an elbow guy or a Muay suck, is going to just chop him up and have a doctor stoppage very easily. He's going to be very prone to cuts. That super leg elbow on Jonathan Haggerty that didn't cut up Haggerty, although it knocked him out, would have absolutely finished Nate Diaz, even if he tanked it. Even if he tanked that shot, it would have opened up a giant wound and it would have been stopped. Obviously, totally different weight classes, but if he fights like a Sensima or anyone like that, anyone who's a good welterweight or a good 155er or 156-5er, because the weight classes are very different in Muay Thai, he's not going to win. He's not going to do good. So his best attribute, though, that would help him is his cardio. However, the fact of the matter is, it just isn't enough. His punches and his kicks are not good enough in that aspect. His punches aren't great. His kicks aren't great. He kind of showed some good knees against Anthony Pettis in the fight where Pettis kind of didn't fight great, but Nate did fight great. But overall, he's just really not that good. Just striking-wise, he's not that good anywhere. And because of that, he would absolutely get smoked on the feet against any top Muay Thai guy. Any top Muay Thai guy would absolutely smoke this guy. Top 10 would absolutely smoke him. And it's not that Nate's a bad fighter. It's just an MMA fighter with an obsolete style, and he's like a relic of the past. And he has a big fan base. And again, he has never changed his style or adjusted mid-fight. I can't think of a fight where Nate is like, all right, let me do something different. Other than, no, let me rush this dude. Man, throw down with me type thing. Absolutely not. So because of that, Nate would be an atrocious kickboxer because those guys have excellent technique, excellent boxing, excellent kicks. Something that he has none of. 4-ounce Muay Thai wouldn't be very good because, again, although he'd be used to the idea of 4-ounce Muay Thai and probably liked the idea initially, when he meets these guys who are excellent kickers, excellent knee fighters, excellent elbow guys, although let's say they don't finish him, they're going to beat him from pillar to post easy. And if glove Muay Thai, it doesn't help him because, again, he relies on that volume. It's going to take away what little power that he has. So absolutely not. It's not going to work for him. It's going to work against him. It's just not great. And again, I don't know where people get this idea that the Diaz brothers are great boxers. No, actually I do. Because I believe they sparred Andre Ward. Very overrated boxer, very fraudulent. Nordic Warrior has a good video on that. But he said, yeah, he gave me awkward looks and awkward angles. And to me, that's just I don't believe him. I just don't believe him. He probably just didn't want to trash talk them. He was probably like, oh yeah, they're a little awkward. Like when Conor McGregor fought box Floyd Mayweather. Yeah, he was awkward too, but did he land anything? Did he ever have him in any sort of danger? No, they're awkward because they're mixed martial artists and they're going to try something new. They're in a new world. So they give you that awkward angle, but it doesn't mean it's actually threatening. So I don't take Andre Ward. If it was even him, I should have fact-checked that right away. But if you're in the comments, let me know if it was Andre Ward, because I'm pretty sure they sparred Andre Ward. But other than that, though, Nate would do horrifically in every single combat sport that is striking-wise. 4-ounce Muay Thai, do terribly, especially there. Love Muay Thai, even worse because, again, it takes away the power. He's not a great elbow fighter, not a great knee fighter. And kickboxing, he just isn't technical enough for kickboxing. So because of that, I cannot recommend Nate Diaz to anything other than MMA. Because, again, he's just not there. And that's not to hate on him. I'm not a Nate Diaz hater, but he is the middest of the mid in the striking department, and he has a big fan base that is more than willing to overlook that. Other than that, though, on to the next. Now this one's going to be a bit controversial because I got Stephen Thompson next up. And the reason why I have him on this list is because his point style and full contact karate kickboxing style just isn't very good for pure kickboxing and for Muay Thai or small or big gloves. But it's ironic enough because this style and also that point fighting style does pretty well in the MMA. Just look at MVP, look at Stephen Thompson. They're both two guys who were able to get to the top of the sport in Bellator and the UFC, but they just never won a belt. But that just shows that this style, ironically enough, works really, really well in MMA. But when it comes to, again, kickboxing, Muay Thai, it just isn't going to work. And the thing about this is that, here's the thing about Stephen Thompson's kickboxing accolades. They're very, very overrated. Like I said, full contact karate. If you don't know what full contact karate is, it's basically kickboxing where they have the shoes, the long pants, and they can only really kick, like I believe, above the waist, and they box a lot. They can't really knee, they can't really spin. I forget if they could spinning back elbow, they could spinning back kick, but it's a relic of the past. It's not a kickboxing style that really exists anymore, and if it does, it's not really like a serious style. You only see it really competed for in WACO, the World Association of Kickboxing. And it's not a major world title. You're not going to see major world titles for that sort of thing. When your biggest thing is a amateur promotion that has a pro version of it, it's not great. And WACO's awesome, but again, they're the only ones who are keeping full contact kickboxing alive. And that is what Stephen Thompson won the belt in. I don't even believe he did it as a pro. He did it as an amateur. He did it as an amateur. Although he has a good record of it, it's great. It's a good thing. It doesn't mean he sucks. It's just one of those things where that style just is not enough, because everything that a full contact kickboxer can do, a good kickboxer, normal kickboxer, K1 style, can do better. And here's another thing about this style, is this style infamously leaves you susceptible to low kicks. We saw it with Rick Rufus, we saw it with Benny Urquidez. When they first faced off against Thai fighters, those low kicks were messing them up. And obviously it's a different time. They weren't even that aware of that style. And Stephen Thompson would have that time to adjust, and he'd probably be smarter than those guys. Not that they weren't smart. It's just, it was a whole new world in Muay Thai. It was like an alien thing back then. It was like crazy how you had to do on a pilgrimage to figure out what it was. History of kickboxing is awesome. But anyway, for Stephen, the thing is that he would have to get really good at checking, and his bladed stance would require him to use footwork even more. So it's one of those things where, like, forget the fact that Stephen's 40. Let's make him 30. He's got to be really fast. He's got to have excellent timing if he's going to use that lead leg the way he does in MMA. However, these guys also have excellent timing. So it's one of those things where he's either going to have to severely adjust his style to the point that it really isn't that Krimpo karate style anymore, or just not do the sport. Because again, those large gloves, and Stephen is a timing-based guy. When he times really well, he can hurt people. But it's one of those things where, again, these guys are going to have better defense than most MMA guys. They're not going to be Vicente Lucas, Tyron Woodleys, and all these Dan Stitchens. These guys that have big holes because, again, they also grapple. These guys are going to have high hands, high shoulders, be able to roll with it, move with it, Dutch block. And Stephen just isn't really used to that. And if you were to transition, again, prime Stephen, not 40-year-old Stephen, it wouldn't do well. And the fact that those big old kickboxing and Muay Thai gloves wouldn't help him. He already is although he is fast, he's not a particularly explosive guy. He's very timing based with his knockouts. So it's one of those things where it just really, really wouldn't benefit him. It'd be very, very difficult. And again, that footwork based striking is gonna require a lot of activity to find success in all three. You're just gonna encourage guys like Rajan Paposhis, Bahram Rajas, those styles, Ratangs, they're going to walk you down, make you tired by simply walking you down because your footwork style requires you to be on a bicycle where someone's dictating how you're moving. It's insanely difficult to keep up, and you need an insane gas tank to do that sort of style. It's very, very difficult. And again, on top of that, not having great power, it's not going to help him. Now, and like previous said, he's going to be fighting the best strikers in the world, not mediocre MMA strikers. And sorry, MMA guys, I don't care how much the sport has developed. MMA striking is still mediocre compared to kickboxing. It's still mediocre compared to Muay Thai. It's still mediocre compared to boxing. And I know the obvious thing will say, well, we can take them out. Yeah, no shit. We're not talking about that. We're talking MMA guys coming to these kickboxing, Muay Thai sports. And again, if they were to come in, they would have to improve their boxing, improve their kicks. Like Bilal Muhammad, right? Great fighter, great boxing. His boxing would probably be good enough, but his kicks aren't there. His kicks aren't there, his power isn't there. These fighters train for power. These fighters to have timing. They live and breathe striking. And it's one of those things where, like, Stephen Thompson, although he also lives and breathes striking, it's striking for MMA at the end of the day. And because of that, his overrated accolades, his style being, although it works really well in MMA, this style's great for MMA. It's gotten him far in MMA, and it's got wins against guys a lot of people expected him to lose. It just will not work in the world of all striking. It will not work in kickboxing. It will not work in Muay Thai. It won't work in 4-ounce Muay Thai, even with that extra accuracy to help him out. It just will not work. Other than that, though, great fighter, but he just won't make it in the world of Muay Thai. If we're to be born again, of course. On to the next. Next up, we got Triple C, Triple Cringe, Henry Cejudo. And again, our Olympic level grappler, excellent wrestler. But why do I have him on here? It's because his striking style is actually kickboxing and karate inspired. However, he actually loses exchanges more often than he ever wins them. Again, how often does Henry Cejudo knock people out? When he does knock people out, it's over the likes of weight drain TJ Dillashaw. Okay, it was on Ibo, but that was nowhere near prime TJ Dillashaw. Wilson Rice? I believe it was Wilson Rice that he knocked out, or Fabio Rice, I believe. So, yeah, it's one of these things where he's just not going to be, he doesn't have knockouts over these great fighters. And when he does fight great fighters, he takes them to, like, decisions. Again, let's look at Marlon Moraes. When he beat Marlon Moraes, Marlon just gassed. Marlon was just beating the crap out of Henry Cejudo the whole fight. The absolute whole fight. And that's one of those things where Henry Cejudo has mediocre defense, as we saw in the fight again recently against Song Yadong. But anyway, it's just one of those things where he has overrated defense. He throws down a lot. He kind of fights Mexican style, where he's willing to take one to give one. And although it's good, again, it's very similar to like a more technical Nate Diaz, because he is actually able to adjust mid-fight. But it's just that his striking skills aren't all there. A lot of people are really wowed by, whoa, this wrestler with mid-striking got a knockout because he's explosive. He'll do great in any combat sport. He'll do great in boxing. A lot of people actually do think that. They think because you're a wrestler and you're explosive. And yeah, you have knockout power for around the two because you've been training explosivity most of your life. Oh, you're always going to have a knockout. Oh, these guys are Dan Henderson. Oh, these guys are just engaging. No, those guys are explosive and they have knockout power naturally. Two things at once. Same thing. Henry Cejudo has knockout power in the first round, but other than that, it goes away. It goes away because he gets more tired, because he doesn't have an infinite gas tank, because his cardio isn't as good as you'd expect it to be. That's because, again, he's a little ball of muscle, which is good. And again, lack of defense, and his best attribute, like I said before, is just that ability to dogfight. And also, the thing about dogfighting is that you can get hurt in those dogfights, and he is injury prone. He gets injured a lot, and he gets injured in fights. He got injured against DJ. He got injured against Rice. He gets injured in a lot of these fights that drag out a little bit. He tends to get hurt in these fights. And again, it's against Song Yadong. He also did he get injured? Actually, I'm gonna take that back. I'm gonna retract that statement. That's one of these things where although his chin is not fragile, it seems that his legs especially are on the more fragile side. So you can hurt him in the fight, at least in terms of like his body. So it's one of those things where, like, again, in a sport like Muay Thai and kickboxing that also exists, limb destruction is a really real thing. So I could see a guy catching Henry in the leg, seeing him buckle and just spamming that thing over and over. And once Henry starts checking, they're just going to go target that knee. They're going to be like, all right, your shin versus my shin, and that Muay Thai guy, that kickboxer shin, is going to win out. Look at Jan Blachowicz. That guy was a Muay Thai world champion on the amateur scene. And when you have those conditioned shins, you're willing to be like, no, I'm just gonna shin you my shin to your shin, because I know my shin can take it. Yours in his condition, and that's a brutal way of exchanging. But as you could see in the Magomed Ankalaev fight with Jan Blachowicz, It works, guys. It freaking works. It's crazy. If it's conditioned, don't go around pulling a Tony Ferguson kicking steel poles. But other than that, though, he does have power, like I said before, but it fades as the fights go on, and his bad leg kick defense, due to the low stance for takedowns and shots, does not help him. You'd probably keep that low stance in karate, because karate fighters at times can have a low stance, especially when they go for that rear hand cross. And again, his style is slightly karate-based, but it's just one of those things where it just won't be enough. It just won't be enough. And because of that, I can't give Henry Cejudo the benefit of the doubt in kickboxing. I can't give him the benefit of the doubt in Muay Thai, or especially glove Muay Thai. Most of these guys might have an easier chance in 4-ounce Muay Thai in a slugfest against a Thai who doesn't have a great chin. But if that guy manages to be calm, cool, and collected, a couple of lug kicks, and you're going to have Henry limping, and they'll be able to knee, teep, and just dominate him. It's just not good. It's not good. And that's sad, because Henry is a good student, but he's just not technical enough for Muay Thai or kickboxing. He doesn't learn fast enough. He doesn't improve as fights go on. He does improve from fight to fight, but it's never a drastic improvement. He's a student of the game, but it's one of those things where he's more of an athlete than he is an intelligent fighter. And he is intelligent. He is intelligent. I would consider Kamaru Usman a little bit smarter than him. But other than that, though, Henry Cejudo is a great fighter, as much as I don't like him, but I can't give him the benefit of the doubt. And none of any of these combat sports, unfortunately. So no one's doing well so far, but we do have some that could do well. Let's move on to the next. Next up, we got another grappler, but trust me, guys, we're not going grappling dependent. We're not picking on Ben Askren. We are picking on Ben Askren's student, though. Remember, Ben Askren's Tyron Woodley's wrestling coach, or he was before he retired. And yes, that's who we got next. Tyron Woodley, Tyquill Woodley. So, why do I have Tyron Woodley here on this list? Well, it's pretty obvious. Not even just his downfall like Tony Ferguson, although he had his downfall before Tony. It's because Tyron actually has decent striking. His striking isn't bad. It really isn't. He knows how to kick well. He knows how to punch well, elbow, knee. His ground and pound was decent whenever he would do it. But it's one of those things where, although Tyron Woodley has good fundamentals overall that could carry him for a fight, especially his great power and insane athleticism, he never throws shit. He never throws combinations. I seriously can't think of a single time that he throws combinations. When he knocked out Carlos Condit, it was one kick. When he knocked out Josh Koscheck, it was one kick. When he dropped Stephen Thompson, his old rival, it was with one shot. I cannot think of a single time this dude threw a combination. When he dropped Darren Till, it was a counter shot. He's weirdly a counter striker. And when he would try to go offensive, he just does bad. It's weird. He's bad at being an offensive fighter. When he fought Vicente Luque, he literally ran at Vicente Luque and tried to knock him out, and he did rock him a little bit. But it's one of those things where it's like, dude, when you're that powerful and that explosive and you have power in all your limbs, why wouldn't you try to push the pace a little? Yeah, don't be this fleet-footed guy, plot at people, stop takedowns, and just look for shots kind of not in a Tank Davis fashion, but a more Mexican style. And Tyron never really had this incredible chin. That's what good defense is for. And his defense wasn't bad. It just wasn't perfect. It just really wasn't perfect. And a lot of people respected his power and his ability to be fairly defensive for the most part. If you try to run at him, you always have to take into account the fact that the dude could catch you, knock you out. But it's just one of those things where, being reliant on that counter-punching power and be yeah, he's going to come in and knock him out, and I'm going to knock him out, catch him with a big cross or a hook. It never works out. It just never, ever worked out for him. And that's just not a good thing. Being reliant on that power makes you Deontay Wilder-esque. And again, it's a thing where if he doesn't win by knockout, either the fight's really boring and close, or he loses, and he ended up losing. And because of that, he doesn't create openings. The dude never feints. He waits for opponents to make big mistakes, like famously Darren Till literally running at him, eats a big overhand, and he's bad at being a nail. Every time that he loses a fight, and it's not close, think about it. Think about when he fought Rory McDonald. Think about when he fought Usman. Think about any fight after that. He's just really, really, really bad at being a nail. And in martial arts, you have to be good at being a nail. You have to be able to weather storms. You have to be able to adjust on the fly. And he's just not good at that. He's really bad at being a nail. Tyron Woodley, although he's a good fighter and is a top 5 welterweight champion, he's not smart. He's not a smart fighter at all. He is not smart at all. He's the guy that was truly carried by a lot of his gifts. And again, it's one of those things where if you take away his power, you take away that athleticism, you just have a mediocre fighter. And he wasn't a mediocre fighter, but again, it's one of those things where he was kind of carried by a lot of his gifts. Kamaru Usman, he had some power too. George St. Pierre, he had a lot of gifts too, specifically his athleticism, but none of them were really known for their power. Marty Snoozman got knockouts by punching properly and using that big back of his to knock people out because he learned how to set them up. He understood it. If Tyron Woodley fought like Kamaru Usman, who was, again, he's a better athletic specimen than Kamaru Usman, he probably would have won that fight. If he ran forward, he walked forward, dirty boxed with him a little bit, stopped the takedowns. And again, it's one of those things where like he forgot how to wrestle. But that's like a weird trend of wrestlers from like the early 2010s, like Hendricks and Tyron famously, a lot, and Justin Gaethje even. They just forget how to wrestle. Even Tony Ferguson, when did you ever see him take a shot? You'd see him in armwrestles. But it's one of those things where like that's athleticism based. It's like you would rarely see these wrestlers shoot because they're like, I'm explosive. I'm going to use this power. Or I fall in love with striking. It's just absolutely stupid. That's low IQ. Their coaches failed them. And Duke Rufus low-key failed Tyron Woodley. If I was Tyron Woodley's coach, I'd be like, hey, man, you're a really good wrestler. Let's do these strikes. Let's mix in these takedowns. But now, you might be wondering, what does this have to do with Muay Thai? What does this have to do with kickboxing? You just went on a little bit of a rant about that. And it's because in kickboxing and Muay Thai and all these things, striking is all about people who can make adjustments. If you cannot change your game plan, you suck. The limitations of kickboxing and Muay Thai compared to MMA require you to be able to adjust on the fly. Throw punches a certain way, push the pace. If you are one-dimensional in these combat sports, you are screwed. The more limited the sport, the less you can be one-dimensional. Limitation breeds creativity, which is why you see a lot of guys when they come from these soul backgrounds, if they don't fall in love with it, they see the creativity. Piotr Jan, not exactly a wrestler, but because of his background, he has some of the most creative strikes and the most creative takedowns you ever see. Tyron Woodley has none of that. So because of that, his power cannot carry him in kickboxing. People hit harder than him in that sport. Muay Thai, yeah, because of the 4-ounce gloves, he could catch people and slump them. And gloved Muay Thai, although he actually does have decent Muay Thai fundamentals, it is just not enough. Not enough. Like Region Urso, Alex Nichols, Sinsima, those are the guys who won championship. Chingiz Alazov, and again, those guys aren't big like, and these guys are like weight class below him. They would fucking destroy him. They would slump him. Literally slump him. Superbond would like just, yeah, that's a chinny guy. He would see the punch coming, throw the head kick, and literally flatline Tyron. He would flatline Tyron. So it's one of these things where like Tyron's defense, because it's okay, people will just, okay means that it's exploitable. Okay means that you know how to block the basics. A good fighter will know how to get around that. And Tyron is just not a smart fighter. He's not smart enough to see that. He's not smart enough to adjust, and his coaches never told him to. And that is a tragedy. So because of that, Tyron will not do good in kickboxing if he were to again be born again. He would not do good in glove Muay Thai. But he could do well in 4-ounce Muay Thai just because, again, if he does that counter-striking shit, he could catch some dudes and he can crack like a mother trucker. So if he catches you, you're going to bed, but it's one of those things where, again, if you fight a good fighter, they're going to bait you out, they're going to fate you, something that Tyron doesn't do himself. So unfortunately for Tyron Woodley, as much as I did like him, I was never a Tyron hater, except when he race baited, but it really sucks to see. Because of that, I can't really give him the benefit of the doubt in anything with gloves. Maybe 4-ounce Muay Thai, and that's just because of a gift, not because of anything particular. Other than that, on to the next. Next up, we got Sean O'Malley. The Sugar Show is not good at Muay Thai, and he would not good at kickboxing. I was about to say pickboxing, because he would pick his opponents. The UFC would cherry pick him. Remember, this guy had a boxer's career up until title, most privileged fighter in the whole UFC. Now, as much as I might not like Sean Strickland, he still is a pretty good striker despite that privileged status. However, let's see how he would do in kickboxing and Muay Thai, which I don't think is very good. That's kind of the point of this video, people who I don't think would do good. And that's because he relies on power and accuracy with the small gloves. So he might find some success in 4-ounce Muay Thai because him and Conor McGregor have those abilities to really read distance with the long arms and really understand it. And also Mauricio Rufy, interestingly enough, recent enough, these long, lanky guys really know how to extend their arms and weigh their R, which is why they're able to generate that power. They know where to step. They know when to throw. They know how to time. It's 3 things and they're good at it. Those 3 guys are very, very talented at it. However, when it comes to this sort of stuff, he is not a combination striker, and a lot of these guys aren't combination strikers. Again, they're kind of snipers, and that is a very karate-esque thing. And although it's awesome, it works great in MMA, as clearly you can see, because again, you snipe them, you drop them, you finish them. However, that doesn't work quite the same way in Muay Thai and kickboxing. Because let's say you do snipe them, you drop them, they can get up. Now, although they're still hurt, they have more time to recover. So it's one of those things where that style just won't really help them out. And again, even if you are a sniper, you want to be a combination striker. And in kickboxing, people very seldom get like one-shotted. They get caught with 3 strikes in combination as they go down. And they do that so that way, all right, I hurt you, I hit you, you're done. You will not answer this 10 count. You're asleep for a second, you get up, you're wobbly, you're not getting up. You are not getting up. Combination striking is also a way to finish fights, and Sean O'Malley isn't really a combination striker. He's only really thrown combinations against Chris Mutino, a literal walking punching bag who was brought into the UFC for him to beat up on, quite literally. To be fair, I believe he was a late replacement, to be fair to Chris Mutino. But other than that, though, in kickboxing, because of the culture of kickboxing and Muay Thai, he's not going to be bum bashing. He's not going to be fighting the Javier Pavas, the Andre Sukumats, the Thomas Almeidas, or the Chris Mutinos. He's going to be fighting the Yuki Yosas, the Nangos, the Leon Pettis, the Jonathan Haggertys, and the Superlex. He is not beating these guys, especially in big gloves, because these guys have incredible power in everything. Yuki Yosa has calf kick knockouts. Superlex has elbow knockouts. Nango, one of the hardest kickers you will ever see. Leon Pettis, brutal guy. If he catches you at one shot, you're done, especially with the way they throw in Japan. Although Sean could strike him, but it's one of those things where work rate can really offset that counter-striking ability. And Jonathan Haggerty is too fast, too aggressive, just a better version of Sean O'Malley, because 1, he can blitz in, 2, he can strike in combinations. Just way better. People really underestimate the striking level is way above in this K1 kickboxing and Muay Thai C1 championship scene. His division, which would be super bantamweight and featherweight, is known for fast and powerful guys with good footwork. Even in Muay Thai, they have solid footwork. And again, these shorter guys, I know Prajanchai is smaller than Sean, but look at the Superlex, look at the Rotangs. They don't have bad feet. They don't have bad defense. If they know that this guy's a power puncher, they're going to be like, all right, got to move my head, got to time it, got to feint him out, got to bring it out. And that's the thing, although Sean is good at feints, he is good at that, he feints so he can find a shot. And if they just keep their hands up and they're overly defensive, they can calf kick Sean. And again, he has an overrated kicking game. His kick, although he has good kicks, he doesn't really do a lot with them. The most he's done with a kick in recent memory is toe stab Merab Dvalishvili in the last round of their fight. Other than that, what else does he use for kicks? Him, Conor McGregor aren't really known for their kick knockouts, aren't really known for their kicking offense. They mostly use it to like control distance, blitz in, but they don't really get knockouts. They don't really hurt their opponents with it. Again, it's like, how often do you see them injure their opponents with this? They seldom do. It's all in their hands. Again, very karate-esque. Like, the kicks are great, but it's really the punches, believe it or not. And also his knees. He also has great knees. He has great timings with his rear knee, which is also a bit underrated and that good play thing. But again, how often do you see him throw knees? He only really threw it against, like, what? Chito Vera, a guy who didn't deserve a title shot. And again, although he lost to him and there was a rematch in their story, it's one of those things where Sean is good at picking up reads in a longer fight against someone like Chito Vera, who's always slow to start. It's basically an easy matchup. I don't care if he lost him the first time. It's one of those things where Chito Vera is literally a guy who waits. He literally waits and just fucking loses, because Chito Vera is unfortunately very overrated, despite the fact that he's a talented guy. Enough about that. He also has bad leg kick defense. Speaking of Chito Vera, injured his legs. A lot of people are able to get to Sean's legs. What he does, he doesn't really check kicks. He'll pull it out, or maybe he'll eat it to land the punch. But other than that, though, he's okay with getting kicked a lot. And against guys like, again, great kickers, especially the knock Muays, where they all do power kicks, they'll probably kick that leg out, kick that leg under his feet, really hurt him. And that's not something you want. You don't want to be like, take one to give one with the legs, because if you got no legs, you got no punches, you got nothing. The only thing you'll be able to do with that hurt leg is maybe kick with it. Other than that, you're done. And he will do especially bad in big lugs, big gloves, right? Big gloves due to less openings, as Sean is a bit of a headhunter. He doesn't really go to the body, he doesn't get that many body shot knockouts. He's a great headhunter, but it's one of those things where he just isn't the best at it when it comes to like attacking that body. Ironically enough, in that Merab Dvalishvili fight, when he did throw it, he showed that, hey, I can hurt you with the legs too. Whether he'll use it next time, I don't know. He's supposed to fight Merab in the rematch, but maybe he'll add that. But as of right now, he would not do well in kickboxing. He would get outworked and probably stop. Love Muay Thai. Those guys with the high defense, the only thing he'll be susceptible to is like the knee up the middle, the uppercut. And if he's fighting a high-level guy, they're going to see that. They have the matrix defense. They'll be able to avoid it. They'll chop down that leg. For ounce Muay Thai, because of Sean's ability to be very, very accurate, he has a shot there, but I can't say he'd do good. Because again, if you're fighting anyone who's good, and they adjust to that small glove Muay Thai, not these One Friday Fights guys who are like on their third small glove Muay Thai fight, these guys who are seasoned, these Rambo legs, these Yoda IQs, they're gonna see it. They're gonna see it. These Suryan legs with crazy, incredible kicks, even like a Tanzit, a guy who gets hit a lot. But again, you see the insane power a guy has in comparison to an MMA guy. He's going to get chopped up, and you don't want that. You just don't want that. So I can't give him the benefit of the doubt for outs Muay Thai, but I can't say he'd do it like ass because he does have power in those punches, and he does have excellent, excellent timing. Karate is still very useful, even though, again, it's not really karate, but it's karate. On to the next. And last but not least, we got Cuxton Soye, Dustin Poirier. Great fighter, absolutely great MMA boxer. But here's the thing why I put him on here is because although he's a great MMA boxer, unlike Nate Diaz, just throwing some extra trade at the Diaz brothers, it's just not enough. It's just not enough. And the thing is he made MMA boxing a style, and he's one of the best MMA boxers you'll see. And his style is really, really good. He's got long arms, he's a southpaw, and that style can give anyone problems, no matter the combat sport, except kickboxing, of course. But the first big flaw he has is, although he is a great MMA boxer, he is very, very heavy on that front foot. He's not a footwork guy, even though his defense is actually pretty good to the head. He gets kicked in the leg a lot, as we saw in the first Justin Gaethje fight. And although it got better as time went on, he's still shown an ability to be hit to the leg a lot. He'd rather defend to the head and body than really get hit in the leg. I believe that's the gamble he's willing to take. However, in Muay Thai and kickboxing, it's a gamble you cannot afford to take. You must have good leg kick defense. And because of the fact that he gets hit with a lot of leg kicks, and because of the fact that he's a limited striker, usually punches, he doesn't really throw elbows, he doesn't really throw knees, he is a good low kicker. His low kicks actually aren't very good. He is a powerful striker overall. He hits hard, dense bones or whatever. When he was fighting Khabib Nurmagomedov, you could hear the crack of those kicks. When he fought Conor McGregor, hear the crack of those kicks. When he would kick Justin Gaethje, he was kicking harder. Dustin Poirier is actually one of the hardest hitters at lightweight that we'll ever see. He hits harder than Gaethje. The only difference is that he doesn't throw down like Justin Gaethje. And he also pulls his punches more. However, when he lands clean, he hurts people every single time. There's no fighter he hasn't hurt. He hurt Gaethje, he hurt Chandler, he hurt Conor. There's no one that he's never not hurt. Literally, no one that he's never not hurt, which is why I think he hits harder than Gaethje. Where Gaethje wasn't able to hurt really Max Holloway. There's guys that he's been able to not really hurt but beat, even though he's dropped them. So it's one of those things where I hold him a little bit higher regard in the punching ability than Justin Gaethje, even though I think Justin Gaethje, I put him on my best kickboxer and Muay Thai fighter list. That's because he's more of, his style is actually kickboxing. He has a great kickboxing style with dirty boxing too. But what we have on Dustin Poirier is that his defense, although his defense is good, he has fallen to feints. So Justin Gaethje feinted him with the head kick, was able to finish him. Michael Johnson went low, then went high, and was able to finish him. Michael Chandler, again, changed levels and went high on them and almost finished him. It's one of those things where, like, although his defense is good, the thing he is very susceptible to is actually feints. Conor McGregor also buzzed him in their rematch, the second fight, where he feint up and then shot that little uppercut, really snapped his head back, Pez dispensered him. He said it hurt him. And again, his chin isn't shit, but when he gets caught off guard, he really, really gets hurt. So it's one of those things where it's just not to his advantage. When you have these high-level guys, like again, a Superbond, he would feint it out and throw a head kick. A Chingiz Alzab, again, question mark kick. All these guys would find a way to catch him off guard. They would hurt him, and they would probably finish him. Again, he doesn't have that fast recovery that someone like Justin Gaethje has or Tony Ferguson had in his prime. When he gets hurt, he stays hurt for a little bit. He recovers later on. But it's one of those things where he'd have to stay defensively sound. He doesn't have that insane recovery. But it's one of those things where you just don't want to rely on that anyway, even if you do have it. So that MMA boxing does give him an edge, but he has a disadvantage everywhere. Also in the clinch work, if we're talking Muay Thai. No elbows, no knees, only low kicks and some middle kicks here and there. But it's one of those things where it just isn't enough. And the thing is he actually has really, really good boxing combinations. His boxing combinations are really good. He knows how to mix it up. And when he does throw in those kicks and knees, he rarely does. He did it in the Eddie Alvarez fight with an amazing knee. he hurts people, but he just doesn't do it. He doesn't do it enough, which is a shame because I'm a big Dustin Poirier fan. I'm getting that mixed up. I stole that from Colby Covington. Colby Covington. Excuse me. So yeah, it's one of those things where for Dustin Poirier, I'm not doing that on purpose. Dustin Poirier, he keeps. I'm sorry, guys. Kickboxing, he just wouldn't do good. His punching would probably be enough to like at least carry him a little bit, but he would get his legs ripped apart. Muay Thai, again, those elbows you get caught, those knees, those finks, those head kicks from kickboxing and Muay Thai would eventually catch him in glove Muay Thai, although I think the gloves wouldn't make too much of a difference on him. It still just wouldn't be enough. They rely on those small gloves to have more accuracy and look for better openings. So because of that, Dustin Poirier might do good in 4-ounce Muay Thai, but he would not do good in kickboxing, and he would definitely not do good in gloved Muay Thai, in my opinion. And that about does it for my list, you guys. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know if you like this sort of content. I cover Muay Thai, the stories of kickboxing, and Muay Thai. Is there anything you'd like me to talk about in the future? Let me know. I love reading what you guys have to say. Other than that, though, follow my socials or whatever it is I have down there. I forget. I don't post on YouTube enough, but I'm going to be posting more. I got a green screen. I'll probably do a face reveal soon. I want to start doing some streams. Other than that, thank you guys for being out here. I appreciate it. I want to do some fight companions, especially for 1172 Takeru versus Rodtang. That's going to be awesome. But other than that, though, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate everything you guys do for me. I appreciate every view that I get. Thank you guys for being here. Like, comment, and subscribe. Share the video around if you want to see other people talk about this sort of thing. Other than that, thank you guys so much and have a blessed day.